whether to, take back its country.
Yeah.
And
Leave the UK. Yeah.
Leave the UK, right? Which narrowly failed by
Mm-hmm.
a very narrow margin. They decided to stay with
Right.
the UK. But after this, I've heard that they are reconsidering,
Yes,
having that vote
They
again.
want to have another vote.
Yeah, so that they can stay with the EU or
Uh-huh.
go back with the EU. Do you think that will happen? What impact would that have on the EU as a whole?
There's a lot of knee-jerk reactions going on right now, and a lot of people panicking over different things. Here's what you need to understand about the UK. The economic hub of the UK is the City of London. That's where most of the economic activity takes place in the whole country. Up in Scotland, the people are generally much poorer, and there's not nearly as many jobs up there. There's a lot more people unemployed and a lot more people receiving government benefits. And a lot of those benefits come from the European Union. And it scares those people a lot to think that the benefits that they're getting from the EU won't continue. And so you can really understand why they feel that way. They feel much closer to the European Union than people do in the rest of the country because they receive benefit from that. And I think that, when people look at how they vote and think about things, their selfishness goes into it. I mean, because we all want what's best for us.
Well, sure.
And not necessarily what's best for the next door neighbor if it's going to impact me negatively. And so I think that some of that's going on in Scotland right now. My personal feelings are I think that after a few months that things are going to settle down. But there really is a big divide between, and quite a lot of animosity actually between the British and the Scots. They truly identify as completely separate people. They are their own people. If you go to Scotland, the British pound bills are different in Scotland than they are in England. They actually are issued by the Bank of Scotland, and they have different pictures on them. There's a real difference in culture and personality and even the way that they speak. So there's a real affinity to be Scots.
From what you've been saying, it sounds like most of this will blow over, but it also sounds like kind of a lot is dependent on what happens next.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of factors with the EU and with the UK would cause more long-lasting effects for us here?
Sure. Let's talk a little bit about this referendum. It is not a binding vote. It was a referendum. In other words, the government went to the people and said, what do you think we should do? And the people voted, and it was 52% to 48%. So 52% of the people in the country said, well, I think we should be out of the EU. David Cameron has resigned. He has announced that he is going to resign. That's a couple months away from that happening. And I think that they've started, he says he's going to start the process of exiting. And he really did not want to go. He really wanted to stay in. And I'm not sure if he says he's going to start that process to panic people more so that people throw up their arms and say, no, not yet, or just kidding. Mm-hmm. Or if he really wants to just do the will of the people. I get the feeling that it's more he wants people to panic a little bit about this, say, hey, what have we really done? Stop, never mind. And so that's one of the things that I think we need to think about. If we need to know, it's going to be a couple of years before this is all going to actually happen. It takes a while to have this put in place. It'll be a couple of years. And by the time that a couple of years is out, that gives companies, if they need to, say, open up a headquarters in Germany or France or something like that, it gives them plenty of time to do that. And it helps, and it gives them time to negotiate trade agreements and things like that to have them put into place. So the other thing you got to think about is what happens if, the average person in Germany or France or Italy that's part of the European Union just says, you know what, I hate those British because they left and they are making our lives harder. We're not going to do business with them anymore, just on principle, just because I don't like them anymore. There could be some of that. And even if they negotiate trade agreements that directly mirror what they've got going on right now, there could be some backlash towards companies in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't seen any of that yet in our business. And when I talk to the guys in our London office every day, they're not seeing any of it yet. We've got a lot of clients throughout the European Union. They're still comfortable doing business with us, but it's a possibility. So the other thing that we need to worry about is the backlash. I talked about that a little bit. What if some other countries decide that they want to leave as well?
Right.
If we get a few more countries leaving, it might snowball. And if it snowballs, who knows what could happen? I mean, it could be, I don't want to use the word catastrophic, but I guess I just did. So, but it really could for some of the smaller countries that are net receivers of benefit from the EU.
Such as Greece?
Yeah, such as Greece or Italy, countries like that are more dependent. And what happens if all of a sudden that well of funds dries up? Are they going to have to declare bankruptcy as a country? They aren't going to be able to pay back their loans. What do? I mean, it could be financially pretty devastating to different parts of the European Union.
All right, so the takeaways for Brexit right now is don't panic, write it out, unless something worse happens.
Yeah, and it could. I mean, we could see, somebody jump in right away and decide that they want to make a big change. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah.
All right, well, thanks so much for talking to us today. We really appreciate your